Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as J-Monster. I want to thank you for joining me for another Age Reforged replay battle. Today we're going to shake it up a little bit. I'm going to show you some 0.96.1 gameplay that was sent into me by, I think it's the, might be the Runic player in this. Could be wrong about that, but we'll cover that when we get to it. And it's going to be a 4 versus 4 good versus evil battle on the Lake EVENDIM map, which is an interesting map. It's dominated, at least a third of the map is dominated by water. But there is this very roundabout path here, which is good for making very obviously telegraphed, but still potentially nonetheless decisive flanking movements the long way around the lake, which is, you can have some pretty cool battles over on this side while you're being forced to micro infantry on the other side, so it does kind of force you to split your attention, which is one of the reasons why I enjoy this map. Not my favorite map by any means, but it does have some neat quirks to it. But in any case, take a look at some of the army comps, then we can get into the replay itself, because I know that's why you guys are all here. You want to see some glorious fantasy Lord of the Rings violence? We'll get to it immediately. But in any case, the first army we're going to look at today is the forces of Mordor, being commanded by Smokin and Tolkien, which I love as a name. Well done. I applaud you, sir. He's brought some more non-infantry. There's some orc fodder mixed in there as well. Some Temple Inquisitors. This is probably going to happen all the time when I do 0.96.1 replays, so I'm going to call things by their 0.97 names. Just so if you're confused and I call it something that it's not, well, that's because that's what his name is going to be, and I've been living in the 0.97 parallel universe for far too long now that I'm just detached from reality. So, one unit here at the Temple Inquisitors. Got some Rohan Guard as well. Maybe two companies mixed in there as well, with a unit of Rohan infantry. Definitely got some orc javies here. Extremely useful, especially on a map like this, which tends to be, I don't want to say formulaic because that's a little bit pejorative, but if you look at the terrain here, plus what I showed you earlier with that large flanking path that goes around the length of the lake, there tends to be the same kind of fight that goes on. Usually it's a big line battle, a lot of pushing and shoving, which is fun on its own way, and it does force people to kind of come together and fight as a team, which is another reason why this map can be pretty damn cool. But as I was saying, in a line battle like this, the orc javelins are going to be potentially very important, because they could do a lot of damage. So can rangers and things like that. But of course they're going to be vulnerable because there's not a whole lot of maneuvering that gets done here. They could just get themselves shot to pieces. But in any case, I'm rambling on. Let's move on over here. We've got some Temple Executioners who don't have their cool new model, but that's okay because they still look damn awesome. Meanwhile over here, more orc fodder, more on guard, a lot of, I don't want to say chaff or fodder, but certainly not units that focus more on their numbers rather than their killing power. A lot of spears, a lot of orc fodder. Got some nasty elites here in the form of the Melkor Chosen, however. More infantry, and a couple legion units here of the Black Legion of Barad-dûr, which in a line fight like what I suspect this will become, are going to be extremely powerful. Over here got some Troll Drummers with their massive AoE morale and fear effect. Extremely useful, but very vulnerable to javelins and armor-piercing missiles and things like that. That should wrap it up for Mordor. Let's move on now to his ally. We have Isengard Mechs, who I believe sent me in this battle. So it's not the rune player after all, it is in fact Isengard. So big thank you to Isengard Mechs for supporting the channel. I greatly appreciate it. He sent me in a ton of battles over my absence, and I haven't really been able to post any of them, but I'm going to get to that. I'm going to post a whole bunch of 0.96 battles coming up next. So again, big thank you to Isengard Mechs, as he sent me in the majority of them. But in any case, Trolls of the White Hand here. I'm really going to miss these derpy looking guys. The new model that's coming out in 0.97 is gorgeous. Kuro did an amazing job on it. But there's a certain charm to this very clearly broken unit, which has its I think it's a problem with the skeleton, or the bones aren't weighted properly, but it's making them look like they're really nervous. You know how people just like shrink into a ball and they like clench up their shoulders, get really tense. That's kind of what it looks like. They just look perpetually stressed out, and also a little bit cross-eyed, and therefore kind of stupid. They're a little bit slow, but that's okay. We love them anyway. Nazakai over here, who are well, they're exactly what you expect. They are also armor-piercing, which maybe you wouldn't expect, given that they don't have two-handed axes, but very deadly, high skill, high armor. It's everything you never want. The only thing they really lack is a shield. Over here, Warg Riders. Love the model on these guys. Honestly, everyone should use this model. It's just It's better than the derpy kind of camel looking thing from vanilla 3rd Age. Absolutely looks amazing. Grimms Bailey did a fantastic job on them. Champions of the White Hand mixed in here with some pikes. Makes me a little bit nervous. It's a lot of pointy sticks here and some very vulnerable cavalry, but it's okay. You can't really hurt your own units. But moving on over here, a couple units of the Uruk-hai archers. Some Uruk-hai infantry, which will be losing this. I know some people like it. I have certainly seen a few people in comment sections in various parts of the Reforged YouTube sphere where they are lamenting the loss of this armor upgrade. It will probably be replaced with something else that I personally think looks a little better. But the reason that the dev team is quite unanimous in removing it is because it makes them look like the average Uruk-hai. It makes them look like the champions of the White Hand or officers, and it's just weird. They look more elite than they actually are. Yeah, so that kind of clashes with what we want to do. But in any case, I'll move on. Got some deadlighting veterans here, at least 2 columns of them. 1 unit of the Guards of the Orthanc, an indispensable support unit. So valuable for the amount of morale that they can confer on nearby friendly units. And that does it for Isengard Mex's army. Let's move on now to Rune. I'll try and pick up the pace a little bit just so it's not another 20-minute army composition thing. Kemel's chosen here. Dragon's Wrath crossbowmen, and they're going to have their old whatchamacallit, projectile. That's the one. So it's going to be all fiery and neat, and I really miss it. I hope we find a suitable replacement for .97's release. Got some Flag Rim here, at least 2 companies of them. 1, 2. Some Gloak Gamp Rim, actually 3 companies of the Flag Rim. 2 companies of the Gamp Rim, 2 companies of the Loke Scion Rim, who are useful support units indeed. Not a lot of melee defense, but they do have high damage. They're spear units, and they inspire. Especially useful for keeping some of the units like, say, the Eastern Clansmen or the lower tier running units in the fight for longer. And I'm pretty sure he's got some other hidden units here. Eastern Hunters, oh, a 3rd company of Gamp Rim. It looks like 2 units of Eastern Hunters. And I'm fairly certain he's got some guildsmen, some Dragon's Wrath guildsmen hanging around here somewhere. I don't know. They're hiding, but he's also got some shadow bows in addition too. Moving on now to the Orcs of the Misty Mountains, we have Bloodbath McGrath. I really like the rhyming nicknames on the evil side today. It's very pleasing to my ear. Got some more riders here. Some heavy goblin infantry. 1, 2. They're kind of just okay. They're there to get in the way. Heavy goblin spears, oddly enough, account for a significant amount of the killing power in Misty Mountains roster, which is something we will be changing for .97. We'll be shifting that elsewhere. But in any case, for right now, going to be a very valuable unit. White Rook Fearmongers, not quite as good as they are in .97, but still a worthy addition to a Misty Mountains army. A couple units here of the heavy goblin crossbows, which in a line battle is super good. Honestly, it's very easy to lose track of units like this, especially when they're like visually quite homogeneous with most of the rest of the heavy goblin units. So you can just be like, oh yeah, it's just a reserve unit of infantry, right? No, wrong. And they're probably blowing a hole in your line while you make that mistake. So very deadly, but quite vulnerable to missiles. Heavy goblin halberds here. A couple companies of the Black Heroics of the Mountain. Cave trolls, looking real weird. I love the new cave troll models, honestly. This one variant just looks they're kind of blind. Like, they have like horrible cataphracts on their eyes. They almost look like Admiral Akbar, if you guys are familiar with Star Wars at all, which, you know, would be weird if you weren't, I guess. Drake Broodlings over here as well. Going to be extremely useful for breaking lines, both champions, because never leave home without your handy knight units, if you can help it. But that does it for Misty Mountains and Rune, so I think now is a good time to move on to the good guys. The first good team army we're going to look at today is the Kingdom of Dale, being commanded by Baconfish 302. He's got some Dalian marksmen, I think to the tune of 2 companies of them. 1, maybe 2 units of the Bardian marksmen. He's also got a really effective front line here. A ton of the Laketown pikemen plus the Laketown spearmen. Laketown spearmen will be getting dropped in .97, but Dale will be getting tons of new additions. If you guys want, I can go into detail on that, either in the comment sections or in another video. Always open to questions, but they will be getting some pretty significant roster changes, and they're not going to be worse off for it. A few units here of the Greenwood Lumbermen, 4 units of Greenwood Lumbermen. Damn, there's a lot of funds in this battle. Got some Girian's Paladins, Blackshot Dragon Slayers, and Dalian Railguard, and Swordmasters of Karnan. Wow, that's a lot of money. Although, of course, they didn't really invest in any cavalry that I can see, so that's probably why. But as far as I can... Oops. Ooh, lag. That was terrible. But as far as I can see, nothing else here. Oh, no, they do have 2 companies here, the Swordmasters of Karnan and a unit of Athala Rangers hanging out somewhere. EVENDIM Archers as well, 1-2. Of course, we've moved on now to the Arthedain player, being commanded, whose forces are being commanded by Mighty Eskimo 6. Got some Arthedain men-at-arms, no armor upgrades, but damn do they look swag. More Arthedain men-at-arms, Wardens of the North, AP Archers. A lot of really nasty skirmish units here. Whereas the evil team seems to have focused a little bit more on their infantry, it seems more like the good guys have a focus on their skirmish units. And surprisingly enough on their cavalry on a map like this. It might be Mighty Eskimo's first time here though, so he maybe didn't know what to expect. But 2 units of four Nostarene Knights, 1 company there of the Arthedain Sergeants, Arthedain Pikemen, a bunch of Arthedain Pikemen, a couple units of Dismounted Knights of Anuminas. I'm not seeing a ton of skirmishers on this side, so maybe the Arthedain player went with... he does have some pretty decent skirmishing potential with the Wardens of the North, but maybe he went a little bit more infantry heavy after all. Moving on over here, we have the forces of Dol Amroth, and it's going to be hard for me to look at Dol Amroth as anything other than they are in 0.97, but I don't know, it's just weird. Mercenary Crossbowmen, 1-2 units of them. Got some Black Swan Vanguard here, Macemen, and therefore AP. Haven Guard. This is where they're going to make up for the skirmishing potential, which is a bit odd, I guess, for Dol Amroth, but oh well. Lots of Tier Thair Marksmen, a couple units of Doranernal Archers, got some Haven Knights, some Swan Knights, all kinds of nasty things. Ooh, and a really nice front line here composed of Doranernal Pikemen and the Athelond Men-at-Arms. And over here, we have a second Dale player commanded by, Frodo? He's got some Lake Town Spearmen, Earls of Esgaroth, Barding Herd. It's a nice complement to the other Dale army, which seems to lack a lot of AP outside of the 2-handed Axemen, which are more lower tier and not so reliable, and the armor-piercing archers. Dalian Spearmen, I think 2 companies of them there. Lake Town Spearmen, Lake Town Bowmen, Dalian Marksmen, Bardian Marksmen, more Quendi Bows, and some more Dale Royal Guard. A lot of Royal Guard on the field today. I think that's going to do it for the army comps here, so let's go ahead and jump into the replay. And so it begins again. Ooh, a little bit of lag there. So you can see the blue team peeling off a couple of units of the Eastron clan chiefs, which are Spear Cavalry, which I neglected to show you guys in the opening army composition phase. And that is being done in direct response to their opponents, who have decided to take the long way around the map with a significant, but not, I would say, decisive commitment of cavalry. I don't know why they wouldn't bring more. They could certainly, potentially at least, overwhelm their opponents, although running through their head may be the fact that they have to cross a tiny narrow spit of land that can be locked down potentially by spearmen. But they have some great company over here as well, which is an interesting thing to commit. There are certainly good reasons to do so, and some not so good reasons to do so. If you can manage to get the great company in behind the lines of your opponent in what is, I'm sure, inevitably going to end up being, simply by virtue of the terrain that both sides have to work with, a massive slogging line battle. If you can get these guys behind your enemy's lines, they're going to cause all kinds of chaos. I've also got a couple companies here of the Nostarene Knights, but not a lot of melee cavalry, aside from the Swan Knights that we saw a little bit earlier. But perhaps just as good as melee cavalry, a couple companies of the Mercenary Crossbowmen, who I'm sure will prove to be exceedingly useful, especially against some of the more heavily armored and hard-hitting cavalry units that the blue team can bring to bear, specifically the Melkor's Chosen, and, well, not so much the Warg Riders, though they do hit hard. Yes, indeed. Isengard bringing out the big guns here with the company of the Champions of the White Hand. It's an interesting matchup. I would say that in close quarters, the advantage definitely falls squarely in the camp of the blue team. But there is, of course, the Grey Company, not necessarily as useful against cavalry, but still a threat, especially to at least 3 of these 4 units here. And of course the Mercenary Crossbowmen, who can swiftly deal with just about any of the cavalry units that have been committed by the blue team over on this end. But we'll see. Because of course they're going to have to fight their way through here, and then very wisely, I think the red team is also already moving up a couple companies of their spearmen here. Mordor on guard, another unit of cavalry, also bolts champion. So yeah, the melee, the close quarters advantage falling squarely within the camp of the blue team, but certainly not the ranged component. But as I was saying, yeah, a couple of companies that work fodder here. So once they manage to fight their way through there, if they manage to get that far, they're going to have to contend with some spearmen. So I probably would have brought more cav, something to overwhelm their enemies and really help them drive that advantage home. Half measures don't always pay off. Moving on here over to the front lines, you can see the Eastron Hunters, and I think the Uruk-hai Archers, although not really all that many of them left at this point, trying to square off against the superior quality, numbers, and positioning of the good side skirmishing line, and it is going about as well as you would expect it to, with the lightly armored evil side archers getting themselves absolutely massacred. Look at this. Dalian marksmen, Dornernal archers. Ooh, a nice, very aggressive move here on the part of Mordor. Smoking and Tolkien getting right up in there, and they're going to chew out those Dornernal archers. Now would be, I think, a fairly good time, given that there's not really any cavalry or fast-moving units moving forward, to just simply run laterally along these lines of archers and just have your cavalry run right through them. You can do a lot of damage. Your cavalry will attack as they move through, and it ends up just being a great way to, in some cases, double your damage output. Laketown Spearmen moving forward, almost getting themselves caught up there with the Temple Inquisitors. Temple Inquisitors, however, have set their sights on the EVENDIM archers, so they're going to hightail it out of reach of the Laketown Spearmen. They're going to go for these Arthedain archers who are very exposed. Hopefully they don't follow them too far in there. Arthedain pikemen would certainly do a number on them. And it seems like the Runic player is going to follow that up with an infantry attack. Not a very effective one. Certainly one that won't make a lot of headway against the superior range of the Arthedain phalanx. But still, I applaud this. I applaud this aggressive behavior, and I hope it works out for them. Dornernal archers getting caught out here by the Temple Inquisitors and now locked in melee by the Eastron clansmen. The evil team was certainly losing that skirmish fight in a pretty big way, but they've managed to even the odds a little bit, at least a little, in terms of the skirmish fight with some fairly aggressive tactics, which I know I greatly appreciate. Moving on over here, got some Bolts champions moving forward to try and get a piece of the Great Company. Well, maybe not the Great Company. I'm sure they sussed them out, though. Maybe they're going after the mercenary crossbowmen. It certainly seems that way. Yeah, a few dead mercenary crossbowmen on the field there. But, yeah, it's just a solo unit of Bolts champions. There's no other cavalry units out here, which is, again, I applaud the aggressive behavior, but you need to do it well. They are already doing it well on the other side. I don't understand why they would simply send a single company here of Bolts champions that's just asking for them to die, to be overwhelmed. And, yeah, if they were to move forward in great numbers, they might be able to encircle and trap most of the cavalry here and bring some of the units like the mercenary crossbowmen to bay. And against the spear cavalry here, they will make short work of those mercenary crossbowmen. So it definitely behooves the blue team to be aggressive here, especially given, look at this, they're all just like packed into a corner here. This is an opportunity, and one that sadly looks like it's going to go thoroughly unseized. Now another repeat of what happened last time. Champions of the White Hand moving forward solo. A little bit more coordination I think is needed here on the part of the blue team, but while their enemies are still kind of shuffling themselves into this canyon, they do still have a chance to surround and destroy them. It's just that they need to get the rear in gear. Both champions then moving forward again solo while Isengard moves back. Really tragic to see there. They were so aggressive, and it paid off reasonably well for them on the other side. I would like to see them continue that. Speaking of aggression, meanwhile over here, Temple Inquisitors, ooh, with the help of the Dunlending veterans, who, while they are not amazing, they do have a bonus versus cavalry, a small bonus, which means that while the Haven Knights don't have to fear them, they should certainly give them a wider berth than they would other infantry units. Meanwhile, Rune coming in like a wrecking ball, surrounding these Haven Knights here. Ooh, that's really ugly. This is a bad spot for those Haven Knights to be in. And some of them are underwater here. You guys seen the new Aquaman movie? Yeah, this is Aquaman Reforged right here. Jeez, look at that. You'd expect them to die in such circumstances, but apparently not. Haven Knights now falling back, leaving behind their dignity as they got themselves quite foolishly suckered into a bad position by the machinations of Mordor, Isengard, and their ally Rune. Rune carrying forward here with their ally Mordor, going to be the first into the fray. The Dalish men-at-arms are going to meet them with steel. This is going to be a tough fight. There's not really a lot that's on the evil side that they have to match these pikemen. Of course, there's going to be some Urukai, but you know, I'm not seeing them. I'm seeing a lot of spear units and such go in first, and none of them in spear wall formation. So they're not trying to do a mass push here. They're just going to take the Dalish phalanx head on, which admirable. Points for bravery, but perhaps a little bit foolhardy. But nonetheless, looks damn cool when you see it up close. Let's see what we got here. Mordor infantry moving in to lend their strength to the first line of Mordor guard. You can already see the defeat is certain here. But over on this end, it looks like Bloodbath McGrath certainly seems to know what he's about. Got his heavy goblin spears in shield wall formation. He's going to continue to push forward here and potentially pressure the Dalish line into breaking. It would be a fairly easy thing to do with the large amount of spearmen that they have here. And of course, aside from spearmen, got a couple companies of the Black Legion of Barad-dûr who are both converging on the good team's left wing. So they might be, I think the smart thing to do here, and I think this is exactly what the players are going to attempt, is to break the wings. It certainly seems like Rune is doing something of that nature. A little bit blobby here for my taste. I don't think it's necessary to be this blobby, but this could be a coordinated assault here, where they try to break the wings and then surround the center and crush their front line. Do I see some javelins getting tossed into the Greenwood Lumbermen? I'm sure they're not going for the Lumbermen. They probably want to go for this stacked line here of Barding Herd and Dalian Spearmen. Seems like they're claiming a few lives here, but the player Baconfish has wisely put some of his Greenwood Lumbermen out in front to try and soak up that ammunition, and so far he's done wonderfully. And he's spared his Barding Herd quite a lot of pain. At least I presume that's what they're going after. That's certainly what I would go after, and is the smartest option. So I'm giving the players the benefit of the doubt here. Greenwood Lumbermen. No, it seems like the Orc Javelins are actually going after the Greenwood Lumbermen instead. Now they're starting to target the Barding Herd. I see. The Greenwood Lumbermen have moved in to lend their weight to the cause of the Spearmen on the front lines. What do we got over here? A fairly disappointing misuse of the Black Legion of Barad-dûr. I do see this a fair amount, and I know there's a cavalry engagement over there, and I'm sure someone out in the audience is screaming at me to go over and take a look at that, so we'll slow it down just a little bit. But a note here, just a bit of a cautionary tale, really. Something I see players do a lot is they just assume that the high mass of the Black Legion of Barad-dûr is all you need, and you can just push through anything. It's sadly not the case. You want to put them in the shield wall and try and move them through stuff. They'll be far more effective than what they're doing right now. But yeah, it still is paying some dividends. But still, you want to put them into shield wall. It's far better. Let's see what we got going on over here. Warg Riders, some champions of the White Hand. What have they managed to accomplish? Great company running circles around them, but then that's to be expected. Ooh, bit of a punch up over here. It seems like some Arthedain sergeants. Clan Guard and Wargs, and maybe, yeah, some of the mercenary crossbowmen as well got themselves caught out and destroyed. It seems like one of the companies of the mercenary crossbowmen is conspicuously missing. They are now missing in action. I didn't see them die, so can't confirm. And this one seems to be quite badly mauled in addition to. Still, they're harassing the blue team cavalry, which is limping back towards a line of their friendly spearmen. It seems that they've had enough. I don't see the Bulk's champions either. They might have gotten cut down somewhere by something. Probably a combination of Lancer cavalry and the mercenary crossbows. But in any case, popping back over to the other side. This is where the real fight is. Ooh, a little bit choppy, but that's okay. Take a look at that. Rune really seems to be pushing hard here. They're pushing that wing at the same time as the Black Legion of Barad-dûr are also trying to do that. But they are being targeted down by some hidden Laketown River Patrol, and that is going to cause them to break. At least one company. No, they're all gone. So that push thoroughly and quickly shut down. And I hear a lot of people complain about pushing units, but this is how you do it. You throw something that's hard to get through in their way, and you can use things like javelins to try and destroy them. It's extremely effective, and you can see just how effective it is right here. And we got some of those Temple Inquisitors just kind of isolated now that the Black Legion have evaporated around them. Isengard infantry moving forward to try and pick up the rifles left by their fallen comrades. But it seems like Evil is running into a brick wall, and it's kind of predictable in a certain sense because of how many pikes the good team has relative to the amount of pikes that the other side has. When it comes to like brute force engagements like this, pole arms are king, and that's kind of just how it is. Well, that being said, Rune has had quite a lot of success here. Arthedain now being forced to deploy as much reserves as they possibly can. Trolls of the White Hand capitalizing on some of the success of their easterly allies so far, charging their way through here, and with the armor piercing from Rune, in addition to the just painful smackdown that the trolls can put onto infantry, this could be where the line breaks. It doesn't really seem like too much more help is going to be forthcoming. There's a a more or less full company of Arthedain pikemen being moved towards the center, but this wing is in danger of collapse. Ooh, thankfully some much needed help here. You can see the dismounted Knights of Inuminas somberly marching their way towards the front, but Rune has really given Arthedain what for in a way that I never really expected them to, without having pikes to counter those of Arthedain. Basically what I'm saying is it's a nice surprise. While over here, both sides locked in combat, it's hard to tell who's winning. Although in the center, the evil forces have started to thin out a little bit. That being said, there's a fair amount of Temple Executioners here. If they can manage to close the gap against some of these polearm units, they will slay them in great numbers. Oh, someone just got pushed through. Oh, nice! Drake Broodlings being committed here. Although into the front of the pikes, it's a little bit of a risky prospect. You can see some of the Drakes actually dying off quite quickly. I think it might be a better idea to try and maybe push through where Rune is, where their forces are thinnest and there's no polearm units. And then they'd have their pick of the litter. They could attack anything from the rear, and that would be absolutely devastating, especially with the fear effects that these Drakes can cause. So that would probably be a better use of this unit, and a much more effective line-breaking tactic. Black Rooks of the Mountain have been moved forward. Some reserves here, and damn, does the evil side need it? On their I guess this would be their right wing, but the good side's left wing, they seem to really be struggling. And it's unsurprising given the hill advantage that the good team has. What do we got down here? Heavy Goblin Halberds being brought forward. Some of the crossbowmen would be very, very useful here. More Heavy Goblin Infantry. Some War Riders that could be again used to great effect. I mean, use this puncture that your allies rather have made in your enemy's lines, and try and exploit it for everything that's worth. Even over here, like they could quickly get through this small line of pikes just with sheer mass alone. Nonetheless, they are holding on quite well. I can see another cavalry engagement over here. Well, it seems like the blue team has come off as the supreme cavalry force, which is to be expected given the amount of skirmishing forces that they were able to bring to bear. But now they're going to run into, yeah, a predictable line of cheap orc spears, and that's going to be a hard thing for them to get through. Very brash what they're doing right now, and I don't think it's going to pay any dividends for them. These units, yeah, they're in loose formation. These cavalry units are going to be completely surrounded. And look at that. What's that coming over the hill? Yes, it's monsters. A bunch of Melkors chosen, some champions of the White Hand still very healthy, and War Riders leading the charge. And this is going to be, I think, the end for the blue team cavalry. Yeah, look at this. 24 Nostarine archers, or cavalrymen, on the verge of routing. The Swan Knights have been devastated. Now that cavalry's here, it's going to catch the Swan Knights. They're going to turn around, try and stand their ground. But I think, yeah, they're going to rout very, very quickly, and the demise of their allies is going to cause the 4 Nostarine Knights to also lose heart and begin to flee. That being said, they do have mercenary crossbowmen nearby. And that could prove to be a real thorn in the side of some of these more heavy cavalry units from the evil team. But it's a nuisance. I mean, they could just fall back with all their cavalry, bring it to bear against the front lines of the blue team, and just lock this area down, and the mercenary crossbowmen wouldn't really be able to do anything about it. They don't have enough ammunition to kill all those spears. Yeah, now's a good time to pull back with that cavalry. I'd say this engagement is thoroughly won, and now it's time to redeploy before you take too much damage from those crossbows. Let's see what we got over here. Some Temple Inquisitors still around. These guys have we've seen them a few times, and they've been absolute wrecking balls. But yeah, I don't think it's necessary for them to be committed over here. I think they need to turn around and hightail it back towards the front, where... Oh, the Easterlings are still pushing in. Some out-of-ammunition archers have now been committed. A little bit of an act of desperation here on the part of the good team, trying to hold back the fierce Eastrons as they just devastate the red team's front lines. Isengard mixing some of their Uruk-hai infantry and pikes in the cause. They're doing very well so far. Black Swan Vanguard, they've been committed here as well. Well, that's a nice counter to some of the more heavily armored units like the Isengard's infantry and the Easterlings. But damn, it just seems like nothing can stop the Easterlings. And again, really thin here. This is an opportunity. I don't know quite where they are. Oh, they're still over here. Yeah, the Drake Broodlings would be more than welcome, although they have found another point of entry. A little bit riskier. Yeah, far riskier, but they are going to make it through. Still, I would definitely have gone another way, and I would have gone and done it sooner. I'm going to charge into the rear of these units. Ooh, nice. Very nice. Well, they are going to disrupt some of their own formation in the process. Ooh. Drake Broodlings were very close to routing there. Mordor infantry now beginning to flee. Drake Broodlings just kind of literally running circles around this portion of the defending line. I'm really curious to see what they managed to accomplish, if anything. Getting into the rear of the Greenwood Lumbermen. If they can rout the Greenwood Lumbermen with their fear effect, they might be able to cause a mass rout here. Although that's going to be difficult with the Daily and Royal Guard nearby. Drake Broodlings down to 10. Are there any more reserves that the evil team can bring to bear? What do we got here? Troll Drummers. Ooh, Cave Trolls. Cave Trolls being committed at the opportune moment, I would say. Look at this. Breaking through here with the Uruk-hai infantry, backed up by Fearmongers and Cave Trolls. Yeah, that's going to obliterate the good team center. This is starting to turn around a little bit. Ooh, and here come the Drake Broodlings. If only there was more of them. If they'd be used a little bit more judiciously, I think that this would be game over here, potentially. But as it is right now, it's certainly a tough situation for the red team to be in, but it's not insurmountable. And they are holding their grounds. These Drake Broodlings down to 4. Ooh, running into the Lake Town Bowmen. Fearmonger should make quick work of these units. Guardian Marksman nearby, certainly well placed to put some point-blank volleys into anything that manages to advance through these gaps. Ooh, we got some breaking here because of the fear effects. Athellan Men-at-Arms trying to hold their ground. Barding Herd now beginning to rout. I don't think the Athellan Men-at-Arms will be able to hold for too much longer. Pretty sure I saw Nazgul in there briefly. Maybe I missed some Mordor Nazgul. But if they're here, then that certainly spells disaster for the red team. Oh yeah, a lot of breaking. Look at this. Mass routing. Well, that might just free up a ton of resources. What do we got over here? Haven Knights. Kind of lurking around. Not really doing a whole lot. If only the Melkor's Chosen could get through here. Maybe if they try to like run their way through. Or if they just run right through the water. Interesting. It seems like they're going to charge right at the Haven Knights and challenge them for the heavyweight title of beefiest cav unit. Melee cav unit, I should say. Haven Knights going to get charged in the rear. That's going to give a distinct advantage to the Melkor's Chosen, even though the Haven Knights are, I would say, at least superior in quality. Melkor's Chosen certainly seem to be getting the better of them in this engagement. What do we got over here? More reserves. Daily and Marksman now out of ammunition, being committed to the fray. And given the numbers of the Easterlings, I think this is where the Easterlings are going to run out of steam. They have hacked their way through hundreds upon hundreds of Dalish infantry, but now with this new influx here, it might be too much. What do we got? What do we got here? Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen. Hopefully they get their neat fire projectile back in .97. Currently they don't have it, just as a matter of convenience, just because it's kind of broken. Ooh, Melkor's Chosen, evening the odds. Haven Knights turning around, getting a little bit of revenge. Melkor's Chosen going to find themselves pinned between the Marksmen and the Haven Knights, even with their superior numbers. This will be a close fight. 29 Rangers from Mighty Eskimo coming out of nowhere. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, it's very, very even. Yeah, they've managed to kill a good amount of the good side so far. It's so close, just within 3% of one another. The Warg Riders, unfortunately, being left to fight Black Swan Vanguard hand to hand when they could be used for Hammer and Anvil strikes, which is a little bit unfortunate. Bloodbath McGrath pulling them out now. Going to use them to try and support the Melkor's Chosen against the Haven Knights, and the Haven Knights have really come off the worse for wear in this little duel. And now with the addition of those wargs, that's going to be game over for them. But that being said, up here on the hill, Blackshot Dragon Slayers raining down death from above. Winded up another volley here with those wind lances. Well, that's going to spell disaster for the Melkor's Chosen. Ooh. Bandit Brass Archers focusing them down. We have some units that look like they came back from routing, reforming and charging back into the fight. Now the Melkor's Chosen down to 7. Ooh. And that was an advantage that could have been pressed home in a big way. If they had charged into the rear of these units, they would have obliterated everything that remained here. And then the rest of the evil team could be focusing on converging on the center and collapsing what remains of the good team infantry. Although, that being said, at a glance here, they still have an opportunity to do that. We got Lake Town Pikemen fighting Uruk-hai infantry. It's hard to tell who's going to win in this situation. Although, with the amount of reinforcements that they have nearby, I would give the good team's left wing to them at this point. What do we got down here? Some Balian Rail Guard have broken through the lines. They're hacking bits out of the Goblin Heavy Crossbowmen. That is a damn fine idea. If left on their own, they would destroy these units up here. Certainly the Athala Rangers wouldn't be able to stand out to them. Morquendi Bows would get cut to pieces. And the Dalian Rail Guard most of all. Or I should say the Blackshot Dragon Slayers most of all. I don't want to call it too early. I won't say anything. Goblin King's Bodyguard here leading the way with some Black Uruks of the Mountain, hacking their way through the Earls of... can't remember what they're called anymore. Is it the Earls of Dale? Earls of Esgaroth? Yes, indeed. Sword Masters of Karnan, this kind of mixed Dalish force here, a ragtag crew, trying to hold back some of the best that the evil team still has left to offer. Over here, got some Black Uruks of the Mountain. These guys could be used in a devastating flanking attack. I don't know why they're not being used so. Ooh, Dragon's Wrath Crossbowmen. Are we going to see them fire? That'd make me really happy. And there goes, I think that was the Arnorian General. Oh, that sucks for them. What are these guys doing? Come on. Come on, use them. Ooh, some nasty damage being done to these routing units. Not worth it. These units need to, like, converge and aid the rest of their army. It's really unfortunate. I think maybe the evil team got a little bit overconfident, maybe? Overconfident, and it's leading to them being a little bit sloppy, I think. Oh, here we go. Black shots raining down death upon the Dragon's Wrath Guildsmen, although at least they're shooting at them and not the Nazgul. Certainly far better for the evil side for them to do that. What do we got here? Dragon's Wrath Crossbowmen. I'm really going to try and keep an eye on those Crossbowmen. There is potential for some glorious game-changing volleys. It's just a mess. This is some real Battle of the Bastards. Nobody wins, everybody loses, bloodbath kind of scenario, and I'm really enjoying it. Earls of Asgaroth fighting off what remains of the Uruk-hai infantry. Yeah, most of their line infantry is gone, but the good guys have a lot of significant missile units left, and I think that that's going to be the decisive factor here. Yeah, they're pulling ahead. They're starting to kind of even out the fight a little bit here. As more and more of these units get bogged down and begin to fall because of the Athala Rangers and the Morquendi Bows, well, That's that disparity is only going to shrink. So we got here Dragon's Wrath Crossbowmen, not really doing anything. Someone's general just died. This is really unfortunate. Grey Company have now come out of nowhere. There goes the Runic General. Ooh, the tide of battle is turning once again. Yeah, these Dragon Wrath crossbows, I don't think are going to be capable of doing anything. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see them fire. I tried to keep an eye on it, but to no avail. Guards of the Orthanc just kind of sitting here. I don't know how this happens in kind of later stages of the game when you have less units to micro, where people just don't see things. Don't see things and lose micro on their units. I mean, it's confusing to me. Not trying to be mean, it's just I just don't get it. Guards of the Orthanc charging in there against the Bardian Marksman. That's going to be a no-brainer for those 2 HP Spearmen. But again, it's really just playing for time while the ranged units for the good sides reap a terrible and bloody harvest amongst the ever-thinning ranks of the evil team. They're trying to get in there, trying to give it everything that they've got, but they're not so coordinated anymore. What do we got over here? East-Run Hunters trying to chase down Grey Company. Interesting. Ooh. Grey Company charging into Scion Rim, trying to get a piece of the Camel's Chosen, and indeed they do. Doing a surprising amount of damage there. Rear charges they're hell. What can I say? Grey Company hightailing out of there as quickly as possible. Yeah, now the good team is just kind of scattered, and it seems like they're running the risk of not only being picked off, but being defeated in detail. Well, let's go ahead and kick it up to full speed now. Maybe even a little bit faster. Both sides exhausted and bloodied, trading blows as we wind down from the climax of this battle as we get a little bit towards the end. Only a few thousand frames still left over. And relentlessly, those ranged units just piling on the damage. Ooh, Dalian Royal Guard coming in from the rear. I think that's going to be Saruman, who's just fallen on the field. The evil guys trying to keep it together, trying to keep cohesion, but it's hard. There's a lot of difficult choices ahead of them here. We're going to try and move forward to disrupt the Rangers at the very least. A charge from the Dalian Royal Guard is going to thwart their dreams. The New York Infantry really have no chance there against an almost full company of a fresh Royal Guard. That's going to be game over for them. Another bit of their army that has been bitten off by the good team. And we got over here Black Shots charging into the fray. Ooh, the Nazgul. 9 of them. Oh, and there goes the Misty Mountains General. I don't think anybody has any commanders left. Come on, Nazgul. Keep it up. Get over there. Get those Morquendi. Oh, I see they're going to go after the Dragon Slayers. Yeah, it's a tough choice. Morquendi are going to move in and try and surround them. I would have gone for the Morquendi, but I don't think it really matters. I don't believe there's an opportunity for the evil team to turn this around at this point. Orc fodder charging in there, a surprising amount. Some of the Orc fodder and the Mornon Guard managed to come through that storm unscathed. I am shocked. Ooh, Orc fodder taking down one of the Grey Company. That's real unfortunate. Not a fair trade at all. Ooh. 2 Orc fodder trying to take down one of the Royal Guard. Royal Guard's telling him what he thinks of that. Blah! Unseaming him from knave to chops. Morquendi bows. They having troubles here against the Nazgul. I mean, the Nazgul are outnumbered and exhausted, but you know, don't count them out. Look at this. Victory seems is a distinct possibility. They will do serious damage. Talon Rangers, they out of ammunition? They might be. Finally they are. 96 to 95. It's still close. More and more of the evil forces piling in, trying to do what they can. Ooh, the Camels Chosen have now joined the fray. 18 of them. Trying to get in there alongside the Shadow Bows to rescue the Nazgul. And the Nazgul are doing their best to hack their way through the Morquendi. And the Morquendi growing ever smaller. This is a damn close fight down to the end. 96 to 96, always beautiful. Reinforcements now in the form of the Athala Rangers. Charging into the fray. Let's see how the Royal Guard are doing. 26 and 27 Dragon Slayers. Even with the power of these two Dalish elites. And the evil sign is held on marvelously well. Ooh, look at that. And off with his head. Go, Shadow Bow. You can do it. Come on. I'm really rooting for the evil guys. Yeah, Reforged dev bias. That's it. Now you guys have undeniable proof. Oh, there goes somebody's general. Probably Mordor. Yep, that would be one of the Nazgul. What are we at? 97 to 97. And with the death of their general, the Mordor forces remaining are going to break and flee. Royal Guard coming in to clean things up. But look at this. Look at the destruction. I believe I mentioned the Battle of the Bastards earlier, but it just seems like an apt comparison. Piles upon piles of the dead. Really, nobody comes out of this the victor. Not with a 97 to 97, if you can call it that, a victory. Loved it. Loved it. Well, let's go ahead, kick it up to 6 times here. I think there's a few Nazgul still left around, and some Camels Chosen as well. And they're just going to endlessly swing at them. The Nazgul are notoriously hardy. It's going to take a while, even for all of these elite troops here, to cut them down. I can't even see them anymore. They're just lost amid a sea of angry Dalian elites. I don't know where they are. Man, how long does it take? How long does it take? We're down now to the last couple hundred frames. And that's going to be all she wrote. The last of the Nazgul has finally perished, and that's going to be a good team victory. So for all of you out there who say that the good guys never win, and the bad guys are overpowered, well, hopefully this video is enough to convince you that that is not always the case. Damn nice kills from everybody involved. Some people got about 1400 to 1500. Yeah, Dalamarth seems a little bit underpowered and underwhelming, just generally in 0.96.1. Luckily, that it has changed very much in 0.97, as I'm sure you guys have noticed if you've been keeping up. Now let's take a look at some of the kills here. 300 on the Uruk-hai pikemen. Yeah, you can really see where the powerhouses of the Isengard army are. Uruk-hai infantry getting 223 kills. That's impressive as hell. What else we got here? Nausicaa 132. I never really saw what happened to the Nausicaa. They kind of just got lost amid a sea of roiling conflict. Cards of the Orthanc 127. Trolls of the White Hand did okay. I would have expected more from them, given the support that they had, but I think they ended up pushing a little bit too far forward and getting themselves isolated, which was a poor decision. But there you guys have it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Coming up next, we're going to have some more 0.96.1 content. In fact, Isengard Mechs has sent me in quite a lot of videos, which I have not had an opportunity to post yet, but I will be doing so in the future. So, hope you guys have enjoyed this so far. Big thank you to Isengard Mechs again for supporting the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye!